Hey, this is Destiny. I was interviewed by Paperclip from mixedfruit.org.
Hey guys, and this is Sunny here. I'm interviewing with ROOTDestiny. Hello, ROOTDestiny. Oh wait, no, just Destiny now, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know, I still go by the ROOTDestiny, but yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing was a bit of a confusing situation on my end, especially over here in the UK. We didn't get a kind of full report on what happened.
Yeah, sure. Basically, it was just Root kind of merged with Complexity.
Oh, okay. Which is Complexity, was that a big team before? Because I hadn't actually heard of them before the merger.
They're a really big team actually. They have they do a lot of games besides StarCraft 2. Like I think StarCraft 2 is their newest, but I'm pretty sure they've got like a Counter-Strike and a World of Warcraft team and everything. I could be wrong on that, but I know they do other games as well.
Okay, and did everyone jump? I mean, management side and stuff like that.
Everybody did. I mean, I think Kiwi and Slush went to a different division of like VT.
Okay.
But then everybody else seems to have went to Complexity, and then I almost went to Complexity. I did, but then I decided against it after joining and kind of left. So.
Okay. Was that a personal thing? Was that a... I mean, there's lots of different... There's been a lot of different kind of information going around, and I really kind of don't want to give any misinformation.
And I just don't feel like I'm ready for like a big organization team yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought would have happened, was that it was huge.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a big undertaking. I mean, that kind of leads nicely into the first question. Do you think that because you went straight for the streaming, well, more heavily towards streaming as opposed to mass competitive play, which what the general kind of consensus is when you go pro, is that you take part in every competition you possibly can? Do you think you kind of underrepresented yourself in that way?
I can't really speak too much to I know what some team salaries are, and based on what I've seen, I think there's a lot more money in streaming right now. I think for like just approaching it from a pure skill perspective, I probably would be doing a bit better if I hadn't gone the mass streaming route, if I had the ability to play games for 12 hours a day. But unfortunately, like I live on my own, I don't go to college, I don't have anybody paying for like room or board for me, and I also have a child and a girlfriend that I take care of. So for me to just play games all day isn't possible. So the next best, so then there are like two steps from that. I could either work like 40 to 60 hours a week to pay for everything and then play games in my free time, or I could just stream 12 hours a day and try and play games, within the paradigm of streaming all the time. And I think that that's probably the better choice. So, I mean, I still get to play quite a few games. Maybe not as many if I was just playing games all the time and not streaming, but the money aspect of it makes it so that I can afford to do it.
Yeah, and would the money drop considerably if you were to try to balance the two? I mean, would that be just impossible?
I don't know. I have a lot of bills to pay. I don't know if
I think we all know that feeling, man.
Yeah. I mean, I make a pretty good living streaming. I'm not going to deny that, but I also have I think more so financial responsibilities than a lot of the SE2 crowd. Like a lot of people would see like $1,000 salary from a team and would be pretty happy with that. Like $1,000 salary from an SE2 team is a pretty good monthly salary. But like for me, that's nowhere near enough to live off of. My mortgage payment alone every month is $1,000. So I kind of measure things a little bit differently than some people.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that you have such a realistic view on it as someone who has a girlfriend and a kid. It's quite apart from, I think, Liquid Tyler, I don't know of another... and Liquid Tyler's, he's a mass competitive player. Yeah. He's gone the other way. So it's interesting to see both of your opinions.
If you can make it as a massive competitive player, like do really well in a lot of tourneys, then the amount of money that you make winning tournaments could probably sustain you. But that's kind of like wanting to be a pro NBA player, where only a very small number of people can do it. I may or may not get to that point one day, but I know I can make money streaming, so why risk it,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, reliability over, I guess, the optimum choice. I mean, would you prefer to go mass competitive?
I mean, if I could make it that way, yeah. I mean, that's my ultimate goal with this game, is just to be as good as I can be. Mm-hmm. I guess some people consider me entertaining also, which is cool. But my first and foremost love is playing the game. I mean, I love playing the game, and I want to be as competitive as possible. There's a reason why, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that I could do, and I've been asked to do, like videos and casting a whole bunch of stuff. And just stuff like that, different little programs and whatnot. But I started to realize pretty early on when I quit my job that if you want to play StarCraft 2 at a really high level, you really don't have time to do a whole bunch of other stuff,
Oh, okay. So would you, if you could start it all over again, would you stay with the route you're doing now? Would you do it the same exactly?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. So what do you think this has let you achieve? Your main big achievement while streaming?
Well, my main big achievement is I make a living playing video games. With all the bills and everything before that, there'd just be no way. I'd still be working that miserable carpet cleaning job and
Yeah,
trying to,
making one more game calls.
yeah, yeah.
So your plans for the future are just to push it as far as you can in terms of competitive play.
Yeah.
That is a good plan. So what actually got you into the whole? Because this is a pretty deep system that you've got yourself into, in terms of how far into pro gaming you are right now. It's not the kind of thing you just drop into from nowhere. So what brought you into the really deep pro gaming elements of StarCraft?
The tipping point was actually with the Justin TV partnership program. At the moment that I realized I could make more streaming than I could working my other job, I quit in a heartbeat as soon as I realized that. And then from there, another couple key points were, I don't know, I feel really good every time I play games against really well-known people. You know, like if you play really well-known people and you can do well against them, it kind of gives you hope for, playing that way on a consistent basis. And practicing with a minigun a lot, another player on Root, was my my gateway into that team, which was really cool too. So
Yeah, yeah, minigun is pretty good actually. You talk about him a lot in a lot of your other interviews as well, in terms of him getting you into things. So do you think if you were talking to someone who's trying to break into that scene, would you suggest they find someone within the scene already to help them push through?
yeah, yeah. Obviously, I mean, yeah, that's how you get in. It's all about who you know, kind of. I mean, if I had been practicing with a different Protoss, then obviously Root would have never heard of me, or maybe Cats would have found me anyway. I don't know. But
Depends how
I mean,
good
it
you did.
definitely helps to be playing with people who are already on a team, to get noticed by that team.
Okay. And have you been, in terms of your role within esports, have you been offered any other professional sort of directions you could go? I mean, you mentioned casting and you mentioned TV stuff, but that sort of stuff isn't as full-time as being a full-time gamer. So, I mean, have you been offered anything really?
Maybe. I
at the
mean, I don't
end?
know. Casting is quite a time consumer. Like, it's pretty surprising. Like, I remember I started, as soon as I quit my job to do StarCraft 2, I wanted to do everything StarCraft 2. Like, I wanted to cast, I wanted to, just because all of it's so fascinating, And I like to be a social person. But, like, after, like, 2 weeks of doing some casting stuff, like, if, like, I agreed to cast, like, for instance, one of the StarCraft Reddit opens. Like, sitting down to do that for one day, like, that was 9 hours of casting. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot to play. Like, you can learn a lot in 9 hours from playing games with somebody. So I mean, like, after like a few days of that, like, I started to realize there's just no way you can have time to do everything. I'm also really, really lucky in that I have a really great fan base that I can offshore some stuff to. Like, all of my graphics works is taken care of by other people.
Yeah.
I've got a guy who completely does all of my YouTube stuff independently of me.
Oh,
I don't
I
have
thought that was you.
Nope. I got a guy that does it all for me, and then we just split all the revenue 50-50. So, I mean, that kind of stuff is really
That's
nice.
not a bad. I mean, what's your YouTube revenue like? I'd never even considered that part of it. I mean, I'd always thought your YouTube thing was just, you after at the end of the day going, that was kind of funny.
Yeah, no, you get paid, I think, similarly to what JTV does. Okay, for the YouTube channel, I would say that I probably, it's a decent amount. Not as much as I make off of JTV, but I mean, it's a respectable amount.
I mean, the views are different as well. I mean, your views for JTV, if you look at
Yeah.
your views, 13, 15 million, I think, last time I looked. And
Yeah.
you compare that to your YouTube, it's not actually close. So I guess if the two were close, it would probably even out a bit.
Yep.
In terms of the games, YouTube's a good place to start because you have a lot of your own personal games up there and a lot of things that you've done, especially the kind of ROOTDestiny montage thing, which is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Do you have games that you're specifically really proud of what you've achieved during them?
I think in the beta, I beat LZ Gamer using like my mass burrowed roach strategy. That was probably one of the highlights of my life, just because he was like the first like pro gamer that I'd ever played before. And I was really, really happy to be able to beat him in a game. It made me feel really good. And like I said, this is way back in the beta. Beating Artosis on the ladder twice in a row also felt really good too. Although both games were kind of cheesy, and it was just the beta, and he played Zerg back then.
And now he's Brotos.
Yeah, up until then, I mean, I'm really happy anytime I beat a really well-known player. I mean, obviously, I was really, really happy to beat Bomber in that series.
Yeah,
2-1.
I was just about to mention that. I watched that the other day. That was one of the most ridiculous games I've ever seen. It went on for so long, and so many times I thought, "Oh God, Destiny's dead. He's lost everything. He's dead."
I mean, I'm glad that I got to play him and beat him, but at the same time, I know he's never seen my build or my strategies before, so I mean, it's hard.
But that's good. That's a strength. I mean, if you can constantly bring new things, which I guess is your plan.
My aim when I play this game is to develop really solid like late games, though, like really solid builds that can be adapted